everybody and get some booms in the chat, and welcome to another walkthrough of the Textguide with me and with Erelic Gaming and RJTV. Matthew and RJ, how are you doing today, boys?
Life is good. Thank you so much for having me back, Tommy.
Woo.
I am an American, so it's not quite as good as it is for him, but I can't complain.
Okay, so on this Super Bowl Sunday, we are going to go over the text guide for the touchdown tournament. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe here to the channel, and also go to Erelic Gaming here on YouTube and subscribe to the channel there as well. It's ItsRJTV as well. Subscribe to us all. You will be able to find the link to the text guides in the description down below. You can also find it on Tommy Lofberg, sorry, no, not on golfclashtommy.com is the correct address. And last but not least, check out the February special where you can access text guides on Patreon for only $2. Link to Patreon in the description down below. So guys, what do you think? Enough talking. Like, what do you think about the tournament coming up? Excited?
Well, RJ, I don't know much about football. You should tell me.
I thought you said tournament. I could tell you all day about football, but as far as the tournament, man, Matthew, you, wow, yeah, you blow me away. I just want to say it's an honor having you here again with us. It really is, and I think we're going to have some high scores unless they sabotage us with a lot of tailwind, or I'm sorry, with headwind in our face.
I'm going to play golf here, and I want to have the lowest score. So while you may go for the high one, RJ,
well,
I'm looking for the minus 40 here.
Yeah, you're 100% right. If we're going, see, I came up in a bunk school district, but yeah, to me, minus 45 is higher than minus 20.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think we could see some record breakers here.
Every hole is like a must drop, right?
Yeah, it seems that way.
It's definitely going to be some low score. Totally agree. And as you can see on the screen, we do not really have any cameras here, but we do have sound this time, which is awesome. So it's it's one step in the right direction. But yes, let's focus on the courses, and we are all going to go to hole number 1. So, hole number 1, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for Matthew to tell us how to play this one from front tee.
Thank you, Tommy. Hole number 1, I prefer to play the rough bump. You know, in a tailwind or a crosswind situation, I'm going to set up with 20% downhill adjustment, a tightened ball, and usually the extra mile should be sufficient. My low-level account, I use a level 5, and it works out quite well. I apply 2 bars of top spin, maximum right spin, and I find having my ball guide, 2 to 3 green squares to the right of the pin is very helpful. Now, if we do have a little bit of headwind, it might be prudent for you to use the bounce over the sand shot. Just ensure that your driver has 3 bars of backspin for that attempt. And I like to use a spin 3 ball so you can apply maximum left spin and get this thing as close to the fringe or maybe even on the green.
And for pro, I think it's pretty close to rookie. Extra mile, Thor's hammer, APOC if you have a really high level, as long as you got about 4.5 backspin, especially for a tailwind. Titan should be fine as well. We're going to go with full left spin, half a ball of left curl, and then also I just want to mention there is a rough bump available if we do have a tailwind as well. So whatever you're more comfortable using, those are the 2 options.
Yes, for third tee, master tee, with a crosswind or a tailwind, we're going to go for green. And then the only alternative is to bounce over the sand. It's going to be a very tricky shot, as you will have to most likely go with some overpower, at least just a little bit. Have in mind that if you're going to use left curl, there are trees that are going to be not in your face, but it's going to, if you use too much left curl, you're gonna clip the trees. That has happened a lot, and that's gonna be, I would call it close to game over, basically, to getting an eagle on this hole. You're most likely gonna end up into the water or fall very, very short and have a very long rough iron towards the pin. We're going to play with a 20% over adjustment, and we're going to try to play this one with a power 3 ball, but if the wind is not like super good, then we're gonna play power 4 ball or even a power 5 ball, like a gear ball, autumn ball, or something like that. If we do have a straight headwind, we cannot clear the bunker, so we will have to lay up, and then we're gonna lay up on the top right corner of the fairway, and from there we have a minimum distance short iron dunk, because the green and the fairway is very bumpy. Then the dunk is going to be the better way to play. But if we do have a shot like that, we need to hit perfect, otherwise that won't go in. So, hole number 2, the first par 3. Matthew, how do we crush this one from front tee?
Well, to me, the first way to play this hole is straight at the pin. You know, you bounce over the rough, and I can accomplish this with a basic ball and a backbone. I do see myself using a Navigator ball in the tournament to cut down some of that wind and give me just a little bit of side spin to help great proof the shot. Adjust for 10% downhill elevation, apply 1 bar of top spin, and just be sure that you account for your lower level ball guides and leave it a couple of green squares short. Now, we will also definitely see many players playing the rough bump here on hole 2, as long as we don't have a strong tailwind. I use a lower level sniper and a marlin ball typically, and with a higher club or ball, you might want to play this with a long iron such as a grizzly or a Goliath. I set it up again at 10% downhill, yellow ring just touching the rough, and basically apply spin as necessary to get your ball guide directly to the pin. Try to hit perfect, and you should be close to a hole-in-one here. RJ, what about the second tee?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. We kind of have an advantage here from the middle tee because we're not necessarily in between clubs. So it's going to be sniper, in my opinion, with a rough bump, regardless of the way the wind is blowing. I just think that we have a big enough patch of rough there to do it with. And if we do have a tailwind, I would go with 2 top spin. If we have a headwind, I would go with about 3 top spin. Obviously, these numbers aren't written in stone. As we play, we'll make our adjustments. I also like the blue ring by the fairway. But the reason why I like the blue ring by the fairway is because we're adjusting from a low spot to a high spot, and it just kind of makes it so you can ensure that the ball isn't going to miss the rough and go, especially if, you end up, hitting the green, missing the rough. So just something to consider. Maybe you can also do it with a yellow ring, but then you want to make sure to back it up about half a ring.
Yes, third tee, my friends. We're going to play either the rough bump or we're going to play bouncing on the fairway. It all kind of depends on what type of wind we're going to have. But I would say, speaking of experience from the last tournament we played this hole, we all went for the rough bump and it was super duper inconsistent. So I'm not really a big fan of this rough bump here, but if you're gonna play the rough bump or you're gonna bounce up towards the pin, I would highly suggest a wind 4 or a wind 5 ball to reduce the wind a little bit. And we're going to adjust that one for a 10% over adjustment. The elevation could be slightly changed in Master. We do that from time to time, that to suit the adjustment. So I do personally believe that we could play this one 5%, 10%, 15%. It all depends, once again, what adjustment we're going to play with. The rock or the quarterback or the sniper is the 3 clubs that I would mixture with when it comes to Master. And as I said, wind 5 ball. Good chance though for an hole-in-one. And I think I'm going to come back to that on every single course here, because I believe there is drop opportunities on every single course. So, hole number 3, we're going to play the first par 5. Matthew, front tee, how do we play it?
Well, we just put it in the hole and get an albatross for every single par 5. No, but actually, I like to use 10% downhill elevation with an extra mile. Quasar ball tends to be more than enough here. I do set it up with the yellow ring near the top of the first fairway, and you're looking to bounce this one over the water and up that second fairway, gaining as much distance as possible. This is a good spot that if you do have a higher level Thor's hammer or something, any topspin driver here is going to really help. But you want to just be sure to avoid that bunker on the left. So when you have your max topspin, you also want to add maximum right spin. And I also put a little quarter ball or right curl there. So then on the second shot, 0%, going to play it with the sniper or a Viper, bounce it over the rough. Typically, well, here's the thing. Your Viper has to have, I don't know the level, but it has to have 2 bars of topspin. And I'm going to add about a ball and a half to 2 balls of right spin. And hopefully, Mr. Handsome RJ, you'll hook us up with hole number 3.
Oh, thank you. How do I go with that intro? I would go with a quarterback and a kingmaker or katana if you are trying to spare your kingmakers up until the weekend round. 3 to 5 top spin, full right spin with the quarterback, as I said. And because our clubs are a little higher leveled than on rookie, I would say 75% right ball curl would be one of the differences. The reason for that is you can take a little more advantage of the green by being a little further away from the sand trap, so you don't have to worry about putting all that backspin on. Anyway, 0% sniper shot with full left spin to give you even more distance away from the rough. And you're going to want to go with at least 2 backspin, possibly more if there's a tailwind, just to have better control over the ball.
Yes, from third tee, we're going to play it exactly the same way. Well, not maybe exactly the same way. We're going to play it a similar way as Pro Expert and also Rookie. We're going to bounce on the first fairway on the right there, over the water, over to the second fairway. We're going to use as much side spin to the right possible. And I would say a side spin 3 ball is not, a must, but it's preferred. And I would consider playing with either a Kingmaker or with a Centurion here, because we do actually need a little distance for the drive as well. Half a ball of curl outside the adjustment range to the right, and then you're gonna get nicely over to the other fairway. It is very important though to take notes about your yardage, especially if you do hit perfect, because then you're able to dial that one in much better than many of the other holes. Second shot is going to be with a sniper, and we're going to and here I would say, I don't really have a preferred way of using the spin. I kind of go and adjust on the fly depending on what wind I'm having, and once I get close I keep that same adjustment. So I will leave that up to you to decide what type of spin adjustment you should use. 10% extra elevation for the drive, and then nothing for the second shot. And to just sum it up here on hole number 3, if we do have more or less a straight tailwind where we can have and achieve a wind that is going to be 16 miles per hour or more, then we can go full blast with a power 5 ball to bounce on the fairway and actually get lucky and get that ball to green. I truly hope that we don't get that wind though, because that's going to give players with Apocalypse level 7 or a level 8 a massive advantage over those having a lower level Apocalypse. Hole number 4, we're going to the second par 4, another par 4 where we can actually drive green if we are a little bit lucky. Matthew, how do we play hole number 4?
It's true, Tommy. This is really one of my favorite holes of the tournament. If you like to live dangerously, feel free. Go ahead and try your hand at driving the green. But, for me, this isn't really the approach that I'll be taking in Rookie. I play this hole with my extra mile at 10% downhill elevation and a katana ball. I set it up on the small island fairway with my yellow ring touching the top left of the rough. Now I do apply maximum left spin and maximum top spin. I adjust for wind, and then I use a little bit of left curl, maybe about a half a ball, just to the outside edge of that white aim ring, to ensure that you clear that fairway bunker, and you want to roll up on past the trees. Now for the second shot, I here play it at 0%. It is customary to play this shot with the dunk. Pack your thorn to take advantage of its maximum backspin. You want to aim on the inside back of the cup. Thank you, Tommy, for all the lessons. And then you have a real excellent chance to put this one in the hole for an eagle. Now, I do understand, because I too once was not comfortable with the dunk. And, this is a very short, makeable, end-bringer, rapier, wedge type shot. So you want to just set it up as you would per that way. Just know that this green has been made very, very bumpy. So it is worth trying out your dunk skills here.
All right. And I got an extra, basically just one of your power clubs with a berserker. And if we are facing tailwind only, with one backspin, we are going to land on the fairway that has no box on it, just north of where the black box is, but before the sand. And with about 1.5 ball right curl. We should be able to bump by the rough and trickle down into the green. Again, like Matthew said, that's living dangerously. In the presence of headwind, or if you just want to lay up, you can also do a power club shot with a kingmaker. We're going to probably be going with about 5 top spin in headwind. Obviously, it'll be a little less in tailwind. 3 right spin. The second bounce will actually hit the rough and trickle out near the top of the fairway to stop us from going into the sand. Now, in my notes, I actually have 0% hornet to the pin, but after hearing what Matthew just said, I agree and would like to substitute the hornet for the thorn. I didn't realize how it was so lumpy there. And like he said, if you aim towards the back of the cup with the full backspin, even if you miss the dunk, you'll have a super easy putt.
Yes, third tee. And here there is plenty of ways. 1, tailwind. We go for green. Then we're going to go with a max curl shot. And we're going to bounce that one on the last fairway over towards the green. And once again, I do not hope that we're going to get that type of win. Because in the end, then it's going to be kind of down towards luck. Not entirely about skill that we do like to have it. If we do have a headwind, a straight headwind, we need to lay up on the first fairway. We will not be able to reach any further, so then we lay up, and from there we're going to have a rough bump from distance, playing with a wood club towards the pin. If we do have a crosswind, we're going to try to get ourselves over to the final fairway and trying to not get the trees to be in our face there, so we can go for a nice little dunk with our favorite Mr. Thorn. And we're going to play the drive 10% over adjustment and nothing for the second shot. And here in the end, the ball could be all from a power 1 to a power 5 ball, depending on what type of wind we're going to have and also what type of wind resistance we are choosing. So this is kind of an open, and very general way of explaining this type of hole. And we'll see once the tournament starts what way we're going to play. Hole number 5, ladies and gentlemen, a tough par 3. I would consider this one to be one of the tougher ones in the tournament. Matthew, how do we play hole number 5?
You read my mind, Tommy. This is a deceptively difficult hole here on this par 3. Well, thanks to Tommy, I play it with 20% downhill elevation, sniper club, or, Viper if you have to, katana ball. Again, I would recommend using a kingmaker here if you can afford it, to cut that wind down as much as possible. This is really the kingmakers on the par 3s tournament for me in rookie. Playing with the blue ring near the bunker on the right, I apply maximum right spin and 2 to 3 bars of backspin. Apply just enough right curl, usually to the right edge of the white aim circle. You should find yourself in a very good position. Now, RJ, how good of a position are we in to play the second tee?
We're in a pretty good position. This used to be my least favorite hole because of how deceptively hard it was. But I actually learned through these text guides. And what you want to do, like you said, 20% was one error that I was making. But also sniper, kingmaker, as you said, blue ring by the sand. I completely agree with that. Full right spin. 5 backspin, no curl, and a tailwind. If we have a side wind or a headwind, we're going to do absolutely everything the same, but we're going to do it with a quarterback.
Yes, we do have, from the third tee, we're playing with the quarterback or the rock. I would say the quarterback is going to be my first choice, and the reason I go with the quarterback as a first choice is that I feel, it's easier, in terms of guide-wise to make the guide with a quarterback, as you play the same way with level 8, level 9, level 10, but the rock will be different in all the higher levels. But quarterback or the rock doesn't really matter. The thing we're looking for, accuracy, ball guideline. That's what we want to have, because this is a difficult par 3 and it's very difficult to get consistency on this one. Reason for that is because it is very bumpy towards the green, and you need to be a little bit lucky, as it's going to roll a pretty far bit once getting to the green. And we're going to play with a 20% over adjustment, and I would prefer to play with a win 5 with side spin 2 at least. Side spin 3 would be preferred, but there is only one win 5 ball that has side spin 3 in the whole game, and you know, can't really expect that everyone is going to have that. But I do think this is going to be the absolute hardest hole for us playing from the third tee in this tournament. So we're just gonna take it for what it is. A drop here is definitely just gonna be considered a big bonus. Hole number 6 is up on the plate. Matthew, how do we play hole number 6?
Well, this is a very short par 5. You know, I play the drive with my quarterback, particularly due to the real possibility of rolling into the rough on the top of the first fairway. Be careful, don't be greedy. I almost always opt for a katana ball here, but it's certainly not wrong to use a power 1 or power 3 ball. Really just go on your inventory and play style here. I like to add 10% downhill elevation to the drive, 5 bars of left spin, 3 to 4 bars of top spin, and about a quarter ball of left curl. So I play the second shot at 0% elevation, and usually with a sniper, but if you need to use a Viper, go for it. Bounce over the rough, 1 to 2 bars of backspin, and I like to aim slightly on the right edge of the cup here. But depending on your adjustment, you know, you just want to get it over that rough, and just be aware that the green does slope from right to left. RJ, I don't think I've ever sunk this one from the second tee. What do you recommend?
You know, I really like how you said that it's shorter, because I actually do have the quarterback with the Quasar available. Now, again, you don't need to go with a Quasar. You can go with a Kingmaker if you really want to dial it in, you know, have the lower possible wins for the free to get balls. But we are going to be taking the black line, which is 5 top spin, full left spin, and we're going to have the white ring right by the rough at plus 0 yards for a max quarterback. So what that basically means is, you know, find where that +1 is, and then just back up to where it just barely disappears. When we're not going to go with any curl, and that should get us up to where the second black box is, which will give us a 0% sniper rough bump. And we do have a very thick rough there, but if you're not comfortable with that, you can also go with 1 to 2 backspin, or if you don't get high enough up, 1 to 2 backspin with that same sniper and bounce over the rough. And then also I just feel obligated, even though I haven't taken this shot myself, you can go aggressively in a tailwind and actually bounce over the water, giving you something a little easier than a sniper approach to the hole.
Yes, 30, once again, all wind dependent. If we do have a tailwind, we are going to play right hand side, trying to bounce over to the second fairway on the right, leaving ourselves up with a short iron or a long iron towards the pin. That's going to be the main option in tailwind. Obviously, you know, for those that has been playing this hole a couple of times in tournaments like myself, know that with an absolute dead-on straight tailwind using a snow globe ball or any other power 5 wind 0 ball, will know that you can actually slice that ball to the green. Yeah, it's weird, but it actually works. I remember I actually won one of my goals for with an albatross, shipping it in from the rough just by the green on this one. But if we do have a crosswind or a headwind, we're going to play on the right hand side, bouncing just before the rough over and roll as far as possible. Then we do have a sniper rough bump towards the pin, or we're gonna bounce before. I would then prefer a turkey ball approach, which is a wind 5 power 2, so you give yourself distance and then also obviously wind resistance. There is also a 3-point ball. There is the new ball as well that I can't really remember now, but there's also a wind 5 power 3 ball. Those type of balls could also be very possible to play with in a headwind or a crosswind to reduce and also maximize the possibility to making an albatross here from distance. 10% over adjustment for the drive no matter what type of way you're playing, and then the elevation for the second shot is not gonna be anything. It's gonna be 0. Hole number 7 gives us the final par 4 in this fairly easy tournament. Matthew, how do we play hole number 7?
I love this hole. I think it's very well designed. You know, there is a very real right-sided option that gives us a chance to drive the green in one. But in rookie, that's not for me. I like to use the left-hand side to go for the eagle. You can use a mere marlin ball or upgrade that as you see fit. I apply maximum top spin, maximum right spin, and you're going to notice that the top of the yellow ring is at the top of the first fairway. And you're going to try to just hit perfect and get this one as far up the second fairway as possible. For the second shot, where the fairway in front of the green is quite bumpy, I like to use the fringe or the green, as per Tommy's advice, as a very nice, consistent landing position. I apply, maximum backspin. Depends on your shot here, but yeah, maximum backspin. Aim that ball guide directly at the hole. And Mr. RJ, help us drop the last par 4 from the second tee, please.
Well, truth be told, if I'm going to help you drop it, the best way to drop it is with not a ridiculously hard drive, but a harder drive, and it's the one that you mentioned, the white line. That will, if done properly, you're in great position, but you need a tailwind and you need to hit perfect or very, very near perfect great. I also like what you said about the left-hand side. Or the black line with your power club and a Titan. You have enough room there for full top spin. Go full right spin with the red ring by the rough. Make sure you stay away from the sand as there is a bit of a slope down there. But don't push yourself too far over. I would just say that's an excellent spot to have a side spin 3-ball. And then for your approach, you have a 10% Hornet to pin. Or once again, if you wanted to try, with more backspin, you could also go with the Thorn. How are you playing it, Tommy?
From 30, we're playing it for the black line. Most, I would say, in every single time almost. Like, there's going to be a massive headwind if we're going to have to just lay up where the first black box is and then go with a sniper towards the pin. So I would consider playing and bouncing over the water, leave ourselves up for a short iron with either the Hornet or the Thorn or the Falcon for the best chance making an eagle on this hole. Obviously, straight tailwind, we can also follow the white line there. And honestly, if we get straight tailwind here, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. And once again, I don't hope we're going to get that type of wind. We're going to have a 10% over adjustment for the drive and a 10% over adjustment for the second shot as well. And it's very important here though that elevation you can obviously change to suit your adjustment. And it's very important that if you play over to the left hand side to the final fairway there, make sure that you check your club distance, because even if you have the same distance of your drive, it's not a linear hole, which means that you're going to be closer or further away every single time, because you can have the same distance, go a little bit more left or a little bit more right, or be more center with the drive, and that's going to affect the club distance towards the pin. Very important to check that out. Here I can also consider playing with a more wind resistant ball, like a wind 4, wind 5, to just reduce the wind and give ourselves a little bit easier time here on hole number 7. Hole number 8, the final par 3, and one of my favorite par 3s in the whole game. Matthew, how do we play hole number 8?
Hopefully we play it well, because it's our last chance at a hole-in-one. I play it here with 10% downhill elevation, and my Viper, or preferably Sniper wood. A Marlin ball, it's really all that's needed here for me to achieve my goal of bouncing from the first fairway up and to the green. If you can afford it, go all the way up to a Kingmaker, but I understand if you don't. I add 1 bar of top spin, a 1/4 bar of right spin. I like to have my yellow ring near the top left rough with the ball guide aimed directly at the pin. How do we finish the last par 3 with a hole-in-one, RJ?
Well, we do it with the Sniper, and I completely agree with you on the balls. We got the Navigator as an option, but we also have a Kingmaker as an option, and you could even use a Wind 5 option for a premium ball. So, and this is because you don't need a lot of side spin. You don't need any specific distance or anything like that. So looking at the price difference between the Navigator and the Kingmaker, I'm probably going to be using the Navigator. I go red ring by the rough and pretty much straight at the hole. No spin whatsoever needed last time we played this tournament, but keep your eye open. for content out there in case we just need to add a quarter in one direction or the other. What about you, Tommy, from the third tee?
Third tee, as mentioned, before a little bit early here, this is one of my favorite par threes, and the reason for that is that I found something that works really good for me when bouncing according to the black line. And I bounce and I play with a quarterback or with the rock there, using a wind 5 ball and basically using like no spin. It's sometimes obviously you can use a little bit of top spin, a little bit of backspin, a little bit of side spin, obviously wind dependent, but in the end it works really, really well. And we do have a rough bump there that isn't really explained here in the text guide, but the reason I don't explain that one is that I do not feel there is a consistency behind that rough bump. So we have always been trying it, but then going back to play is the normal way there. The hard part with this course though could be that the green is so bright that it's hard to actually judge if the ball guideline is exactly where we want towards the pin. And that is something that I'm going to look and focus a lot on to actually give myself a reference that is easy to replicate, because as the circle or like the fairway there is round, we cannot really use the rings as a super good reference, as we don't really know if we are exactly at the same spot. 10% over adjustment here, and once again, as said, I think this is a really good chance for a hole-in-one. So the final hole is hole number 9 in this walkthrough. So how do we play hole number 9 from front tee?
Well, for me here on the 9th hole, it's imperative that we play a power 3 ball such as a Titan. If you have to pick any hole of this tournament, for me in rookie, this is the one I'm going to spend the Titan on to give ourselves the opportunity to drive the green in 2. I definitely favor the left side path as it sets yourself up so cleanly for the second shot. To me, the right side route really isn't in play. The drive, I set it up at 10% downhill elevation. I have the red ring cutting the rough just ever so slightly in full overpower extension. And then I'm going to adjust for wind and push this one back up to maximum distance. Watch RJ or Tommy play this course to learn more about that push up if that's something new to you. You're going to apply 75 to 100% overpower, and you'll find yourself poised for a heroic final hole albatross. Now, I want to play a maximum sniper here at 0% elevation on the second shot, using 2 bars of backspin, 1 to 2 bars of right spin to compensate for that right to left slope of the small green. I'm going to aim directly at the pin, but leave enough room for the low-level ball guide. RJ, what's a higher club level player to do from the second tee?
Well, I would definitely go with the power club, and we can go with a Kingmaker or a Berserker, depending on the type of wind that we're facing. I also like the left side with full top spin and full right spin, and as you said, push up after the adjustment. And we're probably going to be using an overpower somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 100% overpower, which will give us, if we have a club with enough top spin, the ability to play the sniper at closer to minimum distance. And I like going with full left spin and about 2 backspin as opposed to whatever rough bump might be available there. And then also the right side is in play. If we do have a headwind, I would go with Thor's Hammer, an Apocalypse, an Extra Mile, also a Berserker. And then for that, I would pack a bag with a Big Dog or a Katana to get us to green.
Yes, hole number 9, and we are going to play left-hand side with a crosswind or with a tailwind. And then if we can do that from 3rd tee, we are going to see ourselves having a very good chance for an albatross from distance. We can then choose for a rough bump, or we can just bouncing on the fairway as normal when approaching the pin. And that's going to be with a 10% over adjustment for the drive, nothing for the second shot. We're going to use max top spin and as much side spin to the right possible. And most likely, even if we do have a tailwind, we're going to use overpower. Hard to judge how much now because it's once again wind dependent. If we do have a straight headwind or like more headwind than we do have crosswind, we cannot really reach over on the left hand side there, and we cannot really reach over on the right hand side either. So then we will have to just lay up on the left hand side, putting ourselves as close to the top there as possible, and then we're going to have a very difficult second shot where we will most likely not reach for the green in two, but we will at least be able to get it fairly close, and then we're going to have a wedge towards the pin. So in the end, this is going to be an interesting end to the tournament, as there is a good chance making an albatross. So I do think there is going to see a couple of people dropping this one in the tournament in, you know, opening round and weekend round especially. So there we do have hole number 9. So ladies and gentlemen, there we do have it, the walkthrough of the Textguide with me, Matthew Warren, Erelic Gaming, and ItsRJTV. And Matthew, what's your thought about the tournament here in the end? Like, what do you think?
I think it's going to be amazing. Obviously it's exciting to play a new course, but when you can play one that you know well and you feel like you can get some redemption on, for me anyway, having played these holes before, I am looking forward to going back to them with new knowledge, new skill, and I'm going to crush it. That's the plan anyway. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me back here again as well, to participate in this walkthrough. Tommy and RJ, it's an absolute privilege. Thanks, you guys.
You're welcome. And with sound as well. So this is like, we made it happen. RJ, what do you think will be the winning score in Expert and Pro?
I would have to say we're looking at a 45 under. This course is not for mere mortals.
What? Yeah, then for those that don't know, that's actually RJ's real voice. He's just making it funny when he's talking normally. So that's the case. Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna see some very, very low scores. My friends that are watching now, please don't forget to subscribe to all of our channel, and we are going to stream, all of us, throughout the tournament week, and make sure you check that out when we schedule our streams. And in the end, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, RJ. And
thanks, you guys.
I will see you all during the tournament here as well. Much love to you all, and have a great Golf Clash day.